My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Okay, this Caucasian female, 9JUZ 605, impossible light is moving under the parking garage while this demon who's in position, group stalking with the Ontario International Airport, is monitoring, and this is impossible light activity that's occurring while she's driving her car. That's a demon. She's going to federal prison. This is more than one occasion of engaging in the criminal facilitation, and this is a stalker, a demon that knows that she's being documented, which is why she's driving off the property as I began walking toward her. Okay, that's P.O.C. She is going to federal prison, 9JUZ 605, P.O.C. Yeah, she's going to federal prison. This is a sex offender and a stalker, and Ontario police is acting with her. She's going to federal prison. Okay, criminal facilitation, stalking in the path with light, and a demon. Another white woman stalking a black woman. If you want to break it down to race, it has nothing to do with race. The fake sun's no longer over the front door. It moves as I move. And by the way, this is the position that it's at 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the entity is stalking at the same property with planes and helicopters. That demon is driving in the parking lot, and impossible light moved in this parking garage. That's a demon. She's stalking in the path where light is coming through the peephole inside of the apartment. Look at the images I just captured, and the light is concentrated through the peephole onto the kitchen wall. That's what I just captured. While L&D WAPNER's Ontario International Airport is stalking. They're engaged in federal stalking, and they're going to be prosecuted for criminal surveillance with the state. The same criminal activity that the Ontario International Airport's engaging in pursuant to the state. Okay, this is the fake sun moving, amplified plane activity outside of zoning provisions over a senior citizen complex. Group stalking with the people, crossing paths with light activity, amplified audible activity. That is 67457M2. Fake sun is moving, amplified audible activity, planes hovering over a senior citizen complex, day and night, by the way. Amplified inside of the apartment. 47657M2 is a group stalker, a demon. A sex offender, by the way, keeping a woman under surveillance. That's pacing while he moves his vehicle, not trying to park. All right, walking behind you. Remember the fake sun where my shadow's upright on the walls over here? These demons are pacing. And these are the ones that go into federal prison. They're group stalked with the Ontario Police Department. Walking outside of apartment 41, it's P.O.C. Yeah. And those that aren't natural born citizens are going to be deported. You're looking at impunity and malice while the fake sun remains back over the same apartment. All right, and that's AVANATH Capital Management group stalking right in front of your face. All right, they're going to be prosecuted. Okay, this is where the fake sun moves as I move and returns back to the place of origin. Who's being kept under surveillance? It is myself. where there is no Ontario International Airport for Southwest Airlines and any other airlines that is used as a means of surveillance, demonic activity, crossing path in the specific environment where the fake sun rises, stays all day, and sets. That's P.O.C. Pacing on the ground, using vehicles, using persons, using traffic, using planes and helicopters. Okay, again, it is currently 11:36 a.m. That is Alan D. Wapner. This is a demon that's over up an airport where state surveillance is underway. Like Mike Lorenz, a demon that is over a police department where state surveillance is underway. The population, that third party, that aged Caucasian female is going to federal prison. She's monitoring me while I'm inside of my apartment, keeping me under surveillance. And that's how you have planes and helicopters acting in sync with what I do. That's how you have people acting in sync with what I do, because they're all demons. Okay, sitting in the parking lot engaged in P.O.C. Just sitting in the car, surveillance. GBB 673 P.O.C. Keeping a woman under surveillance. And he's going to federal prison. This is impunity and malice, and a demon that is a threat to himself and the population, and needs to be appropriately labeled as a sex offender and the domestic terrorist that he is. The elderly engaged in the pattern of conduct, not different from the demons at Alvarado Gardens, who are under no circumstances in the natural environment, because this isn't over Alvarado Gardens. This is called facilitation for a whole bunch of senior citizens to engage in state surveillance, and they'll go straight to federal prison like every other demon. The voices is used as audible activity. And they're intentionally doing so because that's not the sun. That's how you know that they're intentionally monitoring you. And you also know it because of the circus light activity that's inside of the apartment. The plane activity is speaking to what I do as I do it. And so is the fake sun. As I move, so the fake moves. So the fake sun moves. This is P.O.C. I want you to be clear. That Caucasian female, she's going to federal prison. This whole property is going to be prosecuted. It represents what the people of the state are doing everywhere that I go. They're systematically engaging in it. It is the basis of federal prison. AVANATH communities, they're demon-possessed residents. They're demon-possessed employees that are working here, living at the grounds, engaged in state surveillance with the police, with the airports, with the population, the people who come onto the grounds to engage in stalking somebody. Mental illness is exposed while this federal group stalking and monitoring system is exposed as well. This is P.O.C. It's currently 11:38 a.m. The entity is keeping a fake sun over me in entirely different regions, such as the Alvarado Gardens apartments where I lived and worked, and also where I am in Orange County. I'm in San Diego. I'm in maintaining the light source over me when I'm in an entirely different region, such as the Las Vegas Courtyard by Marriott off of D. Martin Drive when I'm checking out at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. There's no sun that's going to be over Courtyard by Marriott. There's no sun that's ever in any other location. It's rising and setting here. There's only one sun, not 14. Okay, as I move, so does the universe. The fake sun that was right over there while I documented that demon driving out of the parking lot, it was over there, and it moves to remain over me. And this is where it remains, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it stays here, and it remains in alignment setting, which is where demons are stalking in helicopters. This is where demons are stalking outside of zoning provisions, so that you can obviously see what is stalking using planes. Unheard of methods is within the pattern of conduct. That's why they're engaging in flying over a senior citizen complex where there's no Terminal 2 or 4 with regard to their maintenance over a senior citizen complex, flying in the direction west at a low elevation as though you're taking off over here. You know you're not. It's impossible to be taking off over here. And you're doing it under a fake sun. It's elements of monitoring with the population, driving at the same time, maintaining light activity at the same time under the fake sun that remains all day long for that criminal system. And this is terrorism that's going to be prosecuted, occurring in concert and with and on behalf of the state of California is relying on the criminal conduct of the people of the state, and this is demonic activity. These are demons. Under no circumstances does the light coming from what's not even the sun come through a peephole that shoots horizontally through the apartment to appear on the wall, which is what I was documenting inside of this apartment. Okay, and this is where Tracy Banks lives. This is exactly what Tracy Banks is engaged on an ongoing basis. And I want you to see this light here that's appearing on my hand. This is impossible light activity in and of itself. So you can see that. That's impossible light activity. The sun that's above us does not create light that's going to come horizontally through the peephole. That's very highly concentrated light, and that's impossible to occur. Secondly, the entity has light that's occurring above my head. These are demons, including the Ontario International Airport. All of a population is obsessed with me, stalking. They're demons, knowing exactly who I am, by the way. Okay, so the entity is maintaining a manner of impossible light in all directions, shooting this way up, shooting behind the door, shooting through the peephole, and it's appearing in the depths of the apartment. That's what I was capturing. And then I step out to show you all the docking, and it includes AVANATH communities. That's engineer light. Let me put my hand over the peephole so you can see that. and it covers up as soon as I put my hand over the peephole. That's not sunlight. Okay, Alan D. WAPNER, not only is this a demon, there is a demonic and criminal pattern of conduct that's underway as he remains president of the Ontario International Airport. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm putting my hand up here, moving it back and forth, and it is appearing, light is appearing on the kitchen wall. Is in relevant position that is in perfect alignment with my person, while this apartment that I'm inside of is filled with impossible light activity, directed light, engineered light on an ongoing basis. It stays in cycling around. This is stationary, it remains all day. The entity is maintaining illuminated light that's moving all across the ceiling. It's appearing all over the blinds. It's coming underneath onto the floor. It comes underneath the blinds as you see me go outside, and that fake sun is still here. The entity is showing what is impossible light activity that's present during the day and night. My shadow is upright while I'm looking at it on both sides of my person under a fake sun and impossible light activity where again, the same population is group stalking using planes and helicopters, and the demon possessed who are the population engaging in the P.O.C. Okay, this is a perpetual sex offense. The government is going to be prosecuted for what the government is secretly engaging in, sexually violating and targeting an American citizen through the state directly and through the people of the state who are also consumed with my genitalia when I'm inside of a private space. This is what I'm continuously documenting. And this is what the demon in apartment number 55 is maintaining. While demons are stalking in the path, pacing all around, engineer light in all manner of direction inside of this apartment, day and night, impossible light activity, this demon in 55 is engaging in what is ongoing incessant means of amplified audible activity, because walking in the apartment does not create the cracking sound of a ceiling, does not create the sound as though you're dropping bowling balls. The demon does so intentionally to harass, intimidate, retaliate, threaten, and terrorize as an entity, group stalking with the state, while that demon is also engaged in federal stalking in concert with all the rest of these demons that you just saw pacing around in the sky and all over the ground. They're not even walking and flying in what is sunlight. All right, they're group stalking by virtue of this maintenance of an impossible environment, and this is in conformity to the P.O.C. None of this is occurring while there's a sun. There's a whole body of evidence, thousands of videos on the internet right now that you can look at where the light source, supposedly the sun, because that's what the demons, Dominic Choi, and the demons of the terrorist organization LAPD, and the people of the state, Alvarado Guardians, and those that I documented group stalking with the people of the state in LA, they're going to federal prison, and they would like to contend that they're not demon possessed, they're not engaged in a satanic surveillance system, and that that's a natural environment. And it is impossible that that is a natural environment in the same way that this is not the natural environment. And you can also see as you juxtapose the two crime scenes where surveillance is underway. That light activity reaching into the kitchen is occurring while a fake sun is over me, while a demon is stalking in the path with the method of light activity. That's what that was. All right, and AVANATH community is fully engaged in that pattern of conduct. Demons waiting until I'm walking by them to cross path. They're also crossing path while they're inside of their apartments living out of community. While the entity is flying over by planes, the entity is pacing in traffic, driving in and out of the parking lot, sitting in their parking spots, engaging in surveillance. While my panties are down and genitalia is exposed, they are aware of what I'm doing. That's the reality of the demon possession. You're going to prosecute them for their knowledge is also shown and supported through what they're doing as they're doing. That's how I've proven, not that I'm reading people's minds, but that they engage in a pattern of conduct that's revealing what it is that they know as they do their pattern of conduct. And it is sexually violent, and it is psychotic, and it's criminal. Okay? The entity is engaging in a very specific pattern of conduct on an ongoing basis, and you will be prosecuted for the sexual violence, for the terrorism, and harassment as a demon-possessed entity using planes and helicopters, trains, the people of the state that are living in relevant position, coming and visiting in relevant position to participate in it. That old biddy with the hazard lights on, she's going to federal prison. She's going to federal prison. I documented this demon more than once. That's impunity. So she doesn't care about going to federal prison, and since she doesn't, that's exactly where she's going. Okay, it is currently 11:45 a.m. When you're looking at what is impossible on its face, you are looking at the demonic. That's the demonic, and it moves all around. The impossible light moves all inside of this apartment. That's what I'm capturing on a daily basis. Possible light activity, and it across the wall. You can see the shadow of this light lamp I've shown you, and the shadow of the lamp is on the ceiling. You've seen engineer light on the floor, and then you saw my shadow appear behind me. You've seen concentrated impossible light activity above the picture on the wall. This is stationary. This is stationary light, just changing concentration. This has nothing to do with the fake sun that's outside. It's coming above the window, behind the door, and down beneath the back of the door. The fake sun is outside. It's not even sunlight, and this is not the sun. This is showing the circus where demons are stalking you. This is P.O.C. It's currently 11:46 a.m. All right, it is currently 11:40, and Ontario International Airport is crossing path, group stalking, just like the Ontario Police Department just did moments earlier at 11:37. And they're stalking with activity as I'm walking toward my door. They're tracking my steps just like they were under the fake sun at 11 o'clock in the morning. Stalking in the path while the entity is group stalking by the people of the state. You saw that iteration of demons flying commercial airline planes, speaking to the criminal conduct and the federal stalking at the Ontario International Airport, and Alan D. WAPNER, a demon and a corrupt government actor, the president of the Ontario International Airport, that is engaging in and participating and facilitating a statewide pattern of conduct that is specifically satanic. This is amplification and crossing a path. These are demons that are using planes to stalk, okay? Criminal stalking. And they're doing the exact same thing that the Ontario International Airport were doing moments ago at 11:37. They're monitoring, that's federal stalking. They're surveilling evidence that's being published on the internet. As you hear that plane activity, it is the criminal conduct of the Ontario International Airport, who is also, again, flying over a senior citizen complex in violation of existing zoning provisions. All right, there's no sky space, no terminal where you're taking off, flying over 408 West G Street, coming from 2500 Airport Drive or 2900 Airport Drive. This is documentation of the people of the state who are group stalking with the airports, flying over this 55-plus complex where the fake sun is rising and setting, which is how you know that they're all stalking together, and they're all engaged in monitoring evidence against them together, and they do so with impunity. And I'm going to document the people of the state. Woodside Senior Apartments represents the population who was living at a crime scene, the basis of federal prison. There's 144 units. AVANATH Communities is simultaneously being exposed. Remember, they are the pockets who are going to be drained. And I'm also going to prosecute the company name of AVANATH Capital Management LLC because they are a criminal engaging in facilitating federal group stalking and monitoring, with, again, Ontario Police Department flying over the apartment building again at 11:37. And I'm stating again because I documented it earlier, as I've been publishing videos onto the internet, which I will be publishing onto YouTube. So I'm documenting them from my repository online, Google Drive. The entity is monitoring that evidence. As I'm uploading it to YouTube, the entity is monitoring that evidence. And this is the inspiration of specifically the demons who fly over in helicopter, the same place where the fake sun is rising and setting. They're flying right over my head. The apartment building is vibrating while they're flying over. That's a demon, by the way. It's demonic. It's called sensational activity, and they do so also while they know that they're being documented. And this is what I want to be clear on. The demon possession of Mike LORENZ is not reasonably questioned. I'm letting you know what are his secrets, his mental illness, and also the fact that he's engaged in what is public corruption while a police department acts in conformity to what is years of documentation of terrorism by the Ontario Police Department. They're a terrorist organization. It is currently 11:43 p.m. where the Ontario International Airport is stalking with audible activity as I walk toward my front door, and I have 3 shadows that I'm standing in, and it has nothing to do with the building lights at Woodside Senior Apartments. And so the demons who are 55 plus at Woodside Senior, they're pacing around under a fake sun, monitoring me all day long. These are sex offenders over the age of 55. All right, these are psychopaths over the age of 55. These are stalkers over the age of 55. And they also act with the same level of malice and impunity, which is the personality of Satan, who does not restrict or discriminate on age or race, language, place of origin. All right, and here in America, the United States is terrorizing American citizens, and that's what I'm subject to, that's what I'm exposing, and that's what I'm going to prosecute. So there is a population of senior citizens who are going to federal prison. I'm going to start with AVANATH Capital Management, the employee who lives in apartment number 41, engaged in terrorism with the Ontario Police, who are terrorizing me, engaging in federal stalking, the criminal purpose to harass, intimidate, retaliate, and inflict psychological torture, which is the pattern of conduct by the state, while they're stalking you in helicopters because you are engaging in what is documenting their criminal conduct, aside from the fact that they are group stalking you, which is criminal in the first instance. Okay, this is license plate 9ACS 305. All right, and as I walk around, I'm being monitored. The demons live in their apartments. I am being placed under surveillance. I'm surrounded with engineer light. And you don't have multiple shadows from parking garage lights, okay? In the same way that the sun doesn't stay over 408 West G Street for 12 hours, that's a light source, and that's how you know that these are demons that are stalking together. That's what group stalking is. And they're doing so with the entity that is, again, stalking in helicopter. Every license plate I read, understand they're engaging in the elements of monitoring with the demons who provide evidence against them, and the Ontario Police Department themselves will cease to exist. And the names of the demons stalking in helicopters, they will be produced, and they're going to federal prison. And Mike LORENZ is going to be removed from the position, and he will never have anything to do with law enforcement. This and more is going to be the fruit of the prosecution of the people of the state of California. 6A42707. The entity was amplifying helicopter activity, so that's why I was stating that. But as I document, the entity engages in very foolish conduct. You're already aware of the mental illness of the demons who group stalk, and they provide foolish evidence that the world is going to witness, and it's also going to be submitted in a real court. The entity that's exposing their mental illness, engaging in criminal conduct, it's like committing a murder on surveillance cameras. There's no question about who they are, what they were doing, and the evidence that already pre-existed. They're engaging in doing it again. License 8VKP279. license 6GBB673. There's a demon walking their dog in engineer light while criminal summoning is underway. The people of the state living at Woodside Senior Apartment systematically engaged in criminal conduct with the state. Criminal summoning is a high threat, just like stalking in a helicopter. The same demons who are listening to the people of the state being documented, providing evidence against them. Okay, the fire departments, you already know American Medical Response, Ontario has been heavily documented. You already know the entire routine. While they engage in what is monitoring, as I'm documenting 7YEH777 and its evidence against them, 9CKS542, 6YGM131, 8GIX018, 47657M2, 9HRS967, 17671M3, 077XV handicap, group stalking by going into the dumpster with the dog, while the entity is stalking with helicopter in the path. It's currently 11:46 p.m. These are the sex offenders that go to such desperate resorts to keep you under surveillance. This is P.O.C. It's 11:47 p.m. The entities behind me threatening my life, stalking in a helicopter, and a demon is in the dumpster. This is P.O.C. All right, capturing group stalking by literally hiding in a dumpster and engineer light and helicopter activity. License 6YOZ533 is engaging in terrorism and stalking psychological torture with the Ontario Police, as I've been documenting for the last 2 weeks. 9EXJ932, 7EMD286, 8MUB992, 7X82385, UCRISLA, and the Ontario Airport is engaged in terrorism with the Ontario Police. There will be criminal prosecutions of the demons working for the Ontario International Airport and all the airlines engaging in the P.O.C. This prosecution will be very far-reaching. 9LOF371, DJ87B31 paper, DJ72V85 paper, 7PWU252, 8GEN638, 7ZER072, 8FAF951, 325 LMH, that's Oregon, 9HNW373, molesting with impossible light activity, while the demon's at 636 North Vine Avenue, the 7-Eleven, the demon that's working at the registers, the demons that are in the back stalking 9BUP491 also, the demons that are working inside a 7-Eleven, stalking in the back of the store, they're all group stalking, engaged in federal stalking with the Ontario PD, who's monitoring me, and while I'm in the apartment, while I'm on the property, while they're flying around right now. 7-Eleven's engaged in 24-hour surveillance and federal stalking, and they will be subject to federal prison as well. License plate JZ706 handicap. The people of the state group stalk by going on surveillance camera shopping at 7-Eleven. That's how my documentation will tie into who's group stalking by going to 7-Eleven. This will be a far-reaching prosecution. While population engages in terrorizing you, conspiring to murder and kidnap you, you're going to put all those demons where they belong. And many of them, you're talking about hundreds, that are going to federal prison. Okay? It is currently 11:49 p.m. While I'm walking in the parking lot, the demons are driving on Vine Avenue. The people of the state at 325 West G Street are engaging in terrorism while the entity flies over the apartment, Tracy Banks' apartment, number 51, where the fake sun is rising and setting. The people of the state living at 325 West G Street are engaging in terrorism with the Ontario Police Department. Understand how this pattern of conduct works and how my evidence that I'm continuously gathering is going to prosecute the people of the state at 325 West G Street, at 403 West G Street, at 407 West G Street, at 719 North Vine Avenue. The people of the state that are all in relevant position, in other words. Group stalking with a very foolish demon-possessed agency who's putting everybody in federal prison with them. License 88091Z2. And acting with impunity. Not only are they going to federal prison, the evidence is showing that they had no regard for the fact that they know that they're going to federal prison. They've been engaged in federal stalking for the entire time. It's built into their criminal conduct. 4LTC526. And their mental illness, their severe mental illness, will be addressed with regard to their federal prosecutions. Mental examinations is built into the ways in which the people of the state, the government, will be dealt with. License 5PWZ767. No mentally ill person will ever be a chief of police. No mentally ill person will ever be able to bear weapons and have any part of law enforcement. 7NSY150. No sex offender will ever have any job with a police department. 7WON118. No terrorist will have any part of law enforcement in any regard. You won't even be a security guard bearing any weapons. 9NJB782. People are going to be securing themselves from you, by the way. And that's why you will have a criminal record that will follow you everywhere. 7MSL276, crossing paths by the people of the state. This is Ontario Police. That's group stalking by a demon on G Street, stalking in the path with light. Their license plate, 9DP257. That's another aged Caucasian, blonde, bleach blonde hair, stalking with the Ontario Police. She wants to go to federal prison. 7CEU067. She wants to go to federal prison. License plate. These are all the people that stay group stalking with the Ontario police while they fly over the apartment, because I'm uploading evidence, and I'm going to continue to do that. And I'm going to also make sure I specifically document the terrorists who are engaging in psychological torture and terrorism with them, not helping each other, incriminating each other. CG91M60 paper, 7PNU359, 6USF779, and they're still group stalking by this demon whose license plate I recited, because she's creating light activity. These demons are still engaging in monitoring while they're being documented. License BBLTZY. That's a Tesla with a black license plate and gold lettering. 54941V3. Remember, this isn't traffic. This is criminal surveillance, and doing so with impunity. This is how you group stalk. You maintain presence. You do so in an environment that is specifically specifically engineered. It's demonic. There's no sun that's going to remain over an apartment complex for 12 hours. That is on its face. P.O.C. Very highly unintelligent. And they've been doing it for years, by the way. Been doing it for years. I've got evidence that I will be publishing onto YouTube as well. 2018 to 2022, where the Ontario Police Department never fathomed that I would compare their criminal conduct with people in Kern County, where there was not possibly any sun going to be over there while it was rising and setting literally on this street at Fern and G Street. Never. Okay, so let me be clear. Hundreds of people from Ontario, San Bernardino County are going to federal prison. 6YOX838, 9MVY052, 7RSM406, that's paper. License 6XXT119, and they're all group stalking right now while a demon is maintaining a method of pacing and engineered light. This demon-possessed psychotic group stalking minion is driving a vehicle whose license plate I already cited with the bleach blonde hair, and she's parking on G Street in front of Woodside Senior Apartments, 6W53229. Alrighty, and it is currently again 11:53 p.m. and this is because a demon-possessed entity that is severely mentally ill cannot accept defeat, because you're dealing with Satan. But because Satan wants to resist defeat does not mean you're going to face any less consequences. P.O.C. license 9CNB000, going to federal prison. Just like that. P.O.C. They're going to federal prison. Ontario police is maintaining presence through them. License plate, and it's currently 11:53 p.m. They are going to federal prison. 9LMY171. By the way, this whole neighborhood is engaged in systematic facilitation. How is that, you ask? Because they live in relevant position. They're engaged in, I've been here 2 weeks. Okay, the entity is day and night, 24-hour surveillance, just like the old biddy that was group stalking with their hazard lights under the fake sun this morning. And I walk out, and you'll see the heavy plane activity that picks up. The fake sun moves as I move, walking to the end of the parking lot, then goes back to being in front of apartment number 51 where I go back. That demon's going to federal prison. You want to act on an ongoing basis, immediately you are being accelerated. It is being escalated to federal prison. You will not help the government. And if you want to help the government, you're going to sacrifice your own freedom. You're going to federal prison for domestic terrorism, systematically facilitating it, repeatedly facilitating it. You're a whole demon who's group stalking, and then you're monitoring the evidence. Okay, you're going to federal prison for that. So license 8ZTG782, they're all engaged in systematic facilitation, and it's also based on the evidence that's already on the record. These demons have not learned their lesson yet. I've been documenting them for years. I relocated to another region. They've been monitoring the whole time. They're the same entity. They know everything I was documenting when I was in LA. They know who I'm talking about when I was understand the whole state is monitoring me. The whole state's keeping me under surveillance. I returned to Ontario, and Mike Lorenz, the demons of Ontario PD, they want more, so they're going to get more. They're getting more time in federal prison. This is more support for disbanding them. They're not a police department. They're devoting use of their weapons and their police resources and helicopters to focus on me, sex offenders keeping a woman under surveillance, including while my panties are down. Okay, they're gratified by that. Those are sex offenders, not a police department. The city literally does not need them. Especially when you engage in criminal conduct, you're a terrorist. That is literally antithetical to a police department and the purpose that you're supposed to fulfill. You will not exist anymore after I prosecute you as a whole department. You will cease to exist. So it is currently 11:55 p.m. 7-Eleven at 636 North Vine Avenue. I'm documenting them. I'm documenting the entire neighborhood, but I just want to be clear. 7-Eleven is a systematic means of light activity, ongoing pacing. They're in relevant position. This is not a legitimate business. They're engaged in surveillance. Why? Because the fake sun is rising and setting at Woodside. They're in relevant position, group stalking with the people of the state, including the demon in number 55, who is a ceaseless and ongoing means of harassment and terrorism as an entity with the people of the state, the network of communication devices, if you will, who are keeping me under surveillance, and they are making money while they're group stalking under a business name. 5PDK700. License plate 7YXS950. This is P.O.C. Yeah, 5PDK700. That's a Latino male who'll be on surveillance cameras, group stalking and federal stalking with the Ontario police. And if that's not a natural born citizen, the likes of them are also going to be deported. License plate. That's all audible activity monitoring simultaneously in an environment. That's how demons, a population can keep you subject to the elements of monitoring. Starting your car, moving your car around, talking. Very easy for demons to group stalk you. DK63X29. That's a paper plate of a red Mustang. It is currently, again, 11:57 p.m. This is documentation of the entity engaged in what is group stalking. The Ontario Police Department is they are as horrible with regard to their exposing criminal conduct. The LAPD does not have any string of legitimacy. The Ontario Police Department is right along with that level of documented criminal activity. That's how bad the Ontario Police Department is with regard to their prosecution in the shoes of the state, showing the terrorism that they are inflicting upon an American citizen. And I'm speaking on behalf of an ordinary target individual who suffers in silence, okay, who can't even articulate the level of demonic methods of targeting and harassment while they're group stalking you. And group stalking is demonic activity. Okay, the demon possessed or closeted sex offenders. That's what the police chief is. That's what his condition is. Okay, the demon possessed are closeted psychopaths. That's what is the condition of the chief of police. Again, this is Mike LORENZ. This is his secret. This is what he doesn't want you to know. But you all know about the criminal conduct that he is engaging in, that he is a leadership over. Criminal conduct is what the Ontario Police Department is engaging in. They're criminals. All right, it is currently, again, 11:58 p.m. on Sunday, September 29, 2024. Documentation of ongoing federal stalking in violation of Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. Group stalking at Woodside Senior Apartments pool, which is after 11 p.m. The pool's not even open. This is the entity maintaining a creative means of stalking in the path with the police departments who are group stalking over the apartment building at this late. And none of the senior citizens complain because the senior citizens are group stalking. All right, just documenting a means of relevant positioning by being in the pool. Remember, the pool is in alignment with my person. The pool is not open at this hour. But again, the apartment complex is nothing other than the means of criminal conduct on behalf of the state. All right, so you have all type of things that shouldn't be going on, such as commercial planes flying over a senior citizen complex, or let alone anything over here. It's far outside of the route that you're taking off from the 2500, 2900 Airport Drive. 2500 Airport Drive and 2900 Airport Drive is nowhere near 408 West G Street in Ontario, where you are in any position to be at a low elevation, such that anything is going to be heard from a plane that has already taken off from the Ontario International Airport Terminal 2 or Terminal 4. Clearly on its face, but you also know, besides that common sense analysis, they're stalking in the skies, including commercial planes, which I've already documented habitually, and you also know it on its face because the fake sun is here. And that's amplified audible activity and crossing path, period. They are also engaged in highly unintelligent and obvious criminal conduct, doing so in a manner that is showing that you are also clearly targeting when you're not even in any position from Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 to be hovering over the senior citizen complex, which there are zoning provisions, contractual entitlements such as quiet enjoyment, where you're not going to move into a senior citizen complex and they're telling you, okay, well, you're going to be disturbed day and night, so you don't actually have quiet enjoyment rights, everything except for the fact that planes tend to hover over this 55 plus community. There are zoning provisions that are providing the ways in which you're not going to be subject to that. They're taking off at a higher elevation immediately from the terminals. I've been on tons of planes. I've traveled the world. Okay, this is not my first time witnessing planes and the fact that there's an airport. This is what the entity does, because, and it's also because the target individual is someone that's not even supposed to be given any voice, and also the ordinary target individual does not have legal skill set. They're not familiar with things such as zoning provisions, and I'm not saying that everyone that's being targeted is an outright ignoramus, but it may not be an attorney that the entity is targeting. It may not be somebody that has a legal skill set, that has this sort of information available so you can apply some common sense analysis to it. This is very likely not the case. In addition to that, the entity is engaging in a pattern of conduct where they're not even thinking to that degree. They are traumatized, necessarily so, and reasonably so. Okay, that's the intention when you're stalking with impossible light activity. Okay, light that's just occurring out of nowhere. And every time someone's walking by, there's an earthquake that's created. And there's no reported earthquakes on the news. So what is happening to where you're around? You're being traumatized by this demonic environment that surrounds you, by people that keep their backs to you, and they are stalking you. They're stalking you. That's psychotic. And that is the condition, that's the mindset, that's the secret of the demon that's sitting in a position that he's going to be removed from, Mike Lorenz. All right, this demon-possessed group stalker is calling himself a chief of police. He could not be farther from that. He is entirely disqualified. While public corruption of this size is occurring on his watch, nor can he reasonably contend that it is dereliction of duty, which is also unacceptable. But you're not ignorant about the P.O.C. It's a statewide pattern of conduct, and it's very unique. It's demonic. You serve Satan when you're group stalking as a whole department. Okay, the chief of police must be in that same condition for a whole bunch of demons to practice that pattern of conduct. There's no coincidences here. All right, this is Satan's system fully in operation. It is currently, again, 12:12 a.m. It's technically September 30th, 2024, so I'm going to cut it here. Any other documentation I capture will go under September 30th, 2024. This is P.O.C.